I want to take a minute to explain where I stand on the Summer Wells case. In the beginning, I believed that the parents had done something to Summer. Dawn had made some very strange statements. The story that Candace told about Summer's disappearance seemed off to me. The location of the home made an abduction seem unlikely, and statistically, the parents are usually involved in a lot of these cases. So in the beginning, I leaned more towards the parents being guilty, and I believed that most likely they had done something to Summer. As time went on and we learned more about the timeline and the parents weren't arrested, I began to question my initial thoughts. If the police have all of Dawn and Candace's phone records and GPS coordinates, and they know when and where Candace and Dawn were that day, and they still haven't been arrested, that speaks volumes to me. If there are time-stamped pictures and videos of Summer up until about 3 o'clock that day, and then she's completely disappeared by 6:30, that means that in that amount of time, that 3.5 hours, that something would have had to have happened to Summer, and the parents would have had a very short window of time to cover up what happened and hide Summer. Since Summer still has not been found, even after all of the searching in the area, even after police have gathered all of their information, there's still no trace of Summer. So now I tend to lean towards maybe the parents were not involved, and maybe Summer really was abducted. But I'm not 100% either way. I'm not 100% sure that the parents are innocent, and I'm not 100% sure that they are guilty. What I am 100% sure on is that nobody should be attacking them. If you are one of those people, a keyboard warrior, you are wrong. Something went wrong in your brain. You crossed a line that should have never been crossed when you thought it was okay to ever attack someone with the most vile, disgusting things that should never ever be spoken to another human being, period. Moving on, this video is actually about Rose Bly. She is Summer's aunt, Candace's sister, Grandma Candace's daughter. I do not believe that Candace or Dawn had anything to do with Rose's disappearance, but it is strange to have two missing people in one family. I have wondered if the same person involved in Rose's disappearance could be involved in Summer's disappearance, mainly because in a lot of these cases, a close friend of the family or a family member is involved, and so I've wondered if this could have been someone who knows the Wells family and has done this before and so far has gotten away with it, so they did it again. There's no evidence of that. That's just my personal thoughts. Let's get started on what we know about Rose Bly's disappearance. Rose Bly went missing from St. Croix, Wisconsin in 2009. She was last seen leaving her home about 7:30 p.m. to meet a cousin in Cushing, Wisconsin at a bar. Rose told her husband that she would be back before midnight, but she never made it to her destination. Officials found Rose's vehicle 5 days later in a parking lot used by truckers to park their tractor trailers. The parking lot is located around 30 miles from Rose's residence. Rose was a mom and wife involved in a tumultuous new marriage to a man named Christopher Larson, who she wed in February 2009. After she vanished, Larson told media he thought she'd left, but he did not know where she was. Chris Larson, her husband, was the last person to see Rose. According to him, she left home after supper with him and his father. Her husband claimed that Rose's destination was another tiny town in Cushing, just a few miles north. Allegedly, Rose got behind the wheel of her car, a white 2001 Pontiac Grand Am, and began the 5-mile journey to Cushing at 7:30 p.m. On a Friday night, the roads may have had a few more travelers than usual, but the area has never seen much traffic. She drove north on Highway 87. Her plan was to meet her cousin for a few drinks at a local bar. Her cousin would later report she knew nothing of such plans. Rose's cousin reported never seeing Rose that night or thereafter. 5 days after she drove off, her car was recovered 30 miles north of St. Croix Falls in the town of Grantsburg, where Rose attended high school. The location of her car was unremarkable, a roomy parking lot where truck drivers sometimes left their tractor trailers. One local described the parking area as being near a laundromat. Another noted it was close to the post office. Her vehicle contained very little evidence. DNA samples were taken from the Pontiac, but results have not been definitive enough to generate any persons of interest, much less a suspect or an arrest, and have never been shared with the public. The car keys were never found. Rose didn't habitually use credit or debit cards, so there was no way to establish a paper trail or spending transactions. August 21st, the night she went missing, was the last time her cell phone had any activity. The last reported contact she made was to her husband, who she had only been married to for about 6 months, allegedly telling him she would be home around midnight. Her cell phone records turned up 0 leads and corroborate Chris Larson's account that she called him that night. Within 3 weeks of her disappearance, Bly's newlywed husband filed for a divorce. In September 2009, Larson requested a court order with the intention of ensuring Rose could not return and gain custody of the kids. The first divorce attempt had occurred just 2 months earlier, in June of 2009. The couple had at least one domestic abuse incident where he accused her of slapping him, and she maintained he had put her into a headlock and slammed her to the ground. Larson petitioned for a divorce after the police came out to de-escalate the conflict, but the two reconciled shortly thereafter and the petition was withdrawn. Rose had an active bench warrant for a misdemeanor disorderly conduct charge, later amended to domestic abuse. The warrant was filed 3 months prior to her disappearance. She pled not guilty to the misdemeanor charge in July 2009, but due to her disappearance, the warrant has never been resolved. According to Rose's best friend, Nicole Steele, who posted in the Help Find Rose Bly Facebook group, Rose said her husband had told her he would never let her take the girls. Rose's mom, Candace Hare, also posted in this same Facebook group in March of 2021 that authorities are not ignoring the case but haven't been giving out details to the public. Candace also shared that about a week before Rose disappeared, she went horseback riding, something she'd loved since childhood. She took a tumble, and for the next few days she told her mom Candace she had been getting headaches. Her mother suggested she go to the doctor. After Rose went missing, her mother wondered if she might have lost her way, perhaps because she had a serious head injury. There is no medical evidence, however, that Rose was mentally impaired. In the ensuing years, the theory of a disoriented woman wandering away has begun to look unlikely. Chris Larson was granted sole custody of the 2 girls in 2010. Speculation about what happened to Rose Bly in the absence of hard evidence runs rampant online and in the tiny community of St. Croix and Grantsburg. Some community members believe that Chris Larson, her ex-husband is involved, despite a lack of evidence tying him to the crime. Others believe it's possible Rose could have voluntarily left to start a new life. The third option, that she encountered a stranger and fell victim to foul play, will always remain a possibility. Larson took a polygraph in late August, only a week after Rose went missing, and passed. According to authorities, he is not a suspect. He is the person who reported her missing on August 22, 2009, and has no criminal history. Larson has continued to live and work in the community where he raises his 2 girls. In 2019, the police department in Polk County put together this video in hopes to find answers and bring closure to Rose Bly's case.
Tucked away in the rolling hills and dense forests of northwest Wisconsin is a landscape so beautiful you'd swear it was taken directly from a painting. But if you look close enough, there is a dark cloud lingering in the distance, a secret that these roads have held on to for far too long. A secret that has haunted Candace Hare in this community for 10 long years.
And it's horrible. It's hard to deal with. Very hard to deal with. And my life will never be normal without knowing where my daughter is.
On August 21st, 2009, Rose Marie Bly left her residence in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, believed to be en route to Cushing, just a short 6-mile drive to the east. The 21-year-old mother of 2 never made it. Days later, Bly's 2001 Pontiac Grand Am was found in the village of Grantsburg, nearly 17 miles north of her house, with no explanation as to how it got there. No one has seen or heard from her since. There hasn't been a day that has gone by when Candace Hare hasn't wondered where her youngest daughter is, or if she's okay.
With a missing child, there's a hole in your heart that can't be filled. And it's an impossible journey every day to wake up and wonder where she is.
Just trying to figure out where my daughter is. It's horrible. It's not a good feeling. It's just, I wish I knew where she was.
My name is Brent Walk, and I'm the Polk County Sheriff.
When Rose Bly went missing, Brent Walk was a patrol sergeant with the Polk County Sheriff's Department. Now Sheriff, Walk and his office have made finding Bly a top priority. To date, the Sheriff's Department has investigated more than 200 tips and have interviewed more than 150 people. Still, the same question remains. Where is Rose Bly?
Well, I sympathize with the family of Rose because they want to know the answers, much like we do. And when these answers are largely unknown, that's very difficult to deal with. When you have to keep questioning what happened to Rose and where did she go. And certainly that is the solution we're looking for. We want to bring closure to this. 10 years, a decade, that's a lot of time. And you just look at what's changed in our lives and our careers, yet alone this case is still out there. And we would like to bring conclusion to it.
10 years.
I tried to avoid this area. And I can't. It just draws me back. And I don't know why.
Years of worry and wondering. A full decade Rose's children have had to spend without their mother. Someone knows something. Someone has the key. Everyone agrees it's time for this mystery to be solved. It's time for Rose to come home.
Not sure which way, but she's out there somewhere. It's hard not to cry. Even just out here looking, it just brings tears to her eyes. Not knowing what actually really happened that day. Rosie, if you're out there, I still have the same number. I want to bring her home.